Hi everybody, it's Georgia Rose from Zencuda, and I know it's an odd time of day to come on, but Saturday, I guess it's around noontime, quarter to 12, on the East Coast here where I am. But I wanted to come on today because there's a couple of things happening. Number one, with world energy, and number two, with the astrology. A couple of transits I want to talk about. So first I want to talk about world energy because I've been getting a lot of text and a lot of messages from clients and customers and friends, and a lot of people out there, myself included, have been feeling a lot of heaviness in the heart area, in the chest area. Even though we are not sick with corona, COVID-19, we seem to be having some sympathetic reactions, energetic reactions to this. And I think that's twofold. I think it's partly the astrology. We have some really heavy energy coming in with some transits, and I think we're feeling that in the chest area. I also think we're picking up on a lot of world grief. There's a lot of people who are losing loved ones and who are sick and grieving, and we're picking a lot of that up in our heart area as well, in the chest area. The beginning of last week, I had a few days where I really had heaviness in my chest, and I was feeling like constricted and restriction, and I thought to myself, wow, what's really going on here? Am I getting sick? And I'm not getting sick. I haven't been out of the house. I'm on day 28, actually. I quarantined myself way before we were suggested to do that. And so I think that, hi Linda, so I think that what's really happening is a lot of us are picking up world energy. We're picking up a lot of energy coming in from grief and also compassion. You know, sometimes compassion can be felt in the higher heart area. What I would suggest to everyone, I'm just going to move this light a little bit because I lost the sun. It's going in and out of the clouds today. So what I think that higher heart area is being affected very much because that's also where a lot of our immune system works, our thymus, our lymphatic system. So I would definitely suggest to all of you, if you're home, do some gentle yoga stretches, especially fish pose is really great. That opens up the lung area. Any kind of a heart opener, even just a sun breath if you're outside today, or any kind of thing that will help you unrestrict your chest and lung area. When I felt the heaviness, it was in my back, in my lungs, in my upper heart, higher heart. And I know that I'm picking up on world energy. I think even people who are not aware that they're sensitives are picking up on this energy. I also think a lot of it may be anxiety. So I just wanted to say that first of all, and then I want to go into a little bit of astrology. So I just wanted to say that because I know a lot of us out there, I've been getting a lot of texts and messages about people feeling heaviness and constriction in their upper body, lung and chest area. And I really, really think we're picking up on world energy. And also when you have those sensations, what I did when I was having them for several days, and they come and go in waves, what I would suggest is don't label them as negative. If we're feeling heaviness in our heart, our higher heart chamber, sometimes we're feeling love. And sometimes love, when it first comes in, if it's really a big part of the collective, doesn't always feel light because there's so many people sending love across the universe now. So I would say if you can just even, for 5 minutes a day, if you don't have the attention depth, just put love in your heart and send love out to that part of your body. I've been using a lot of violet light. That's what I work in normally. So I've been increasing my violet light so that I can really keep my vibration high. So don't get anxiety if you're feeling that heaviness in the chest. Don't get anxiety if you're feeling pressure or restriction in the chest area. I really think that that is us picking up on world energy from the pandemic and also from the higher heart area where so many of us are being activated. And that's what I wanted to talk about in this video as well, and that's why I came on today, which is, I know, a very unusual time for me to be on. I usually have my regular schedule. But I want to talk about the higher heart and some of the energies that a lot of us are feeling, especially being home. Some of us are alone. I just did an audio video of my podcast from Thursday night about loneliness and how to really work through loneliness. So you can check that over on the Zencuda page. It's a great listen to. It's my own experience with loneliness and working through it. So I think some of us are dealing with that, which can also be heaviness in our chest. And I also think some of us are alone having that loneliness, and others of us are dealing with being sequestered with people we don't normally spend so much time with, or people that we maybe have relationships with that aren't always optimal, right? Some of us are using this time to make those relationships better and stronger, and some of us are really finding challenge in this time with being around certain people. So I want to talk about the astrology and the transits that's coming in this week. Particularly one of the deepest transits is the Sun square to Pluto and Jupiter. And I know that's going to sound a little bit like Chinese to some of you, but what that is really about is power versus darkness. And we've had a lot of darkness in our life right now, obviously many of us more so than others. But when I say power versus darkness, I don't mean like a superhero power struggle, which, you know, the media loves all that darkness. I mean that we're going to find ourselves challenged in our areas of life where we are most focused right now. For those of us who are really kind of sequestered or are sequestered, we're going to find the challenges in relationships. And this energy coming in where the sun really squares Pluto and Jupiter, squares are usually not an optimal energy. They're not benevolent. They usually create some kind of a conflict. And of course, conflict is always created in our lives so that we work through something. Well, this is going to bring a lot of fear to the surface because Pluto is doing that through this virus, and a lot of destruction and transformation, transfiguration, which is where things are destroyed in order to become better and built new, right? So that's being highlighted more so now. But what's happening is it's in a little bit of a different way than we've had it before. What's happening now that the sun is squaring Pluto and will square Jupiter later in the week, this actually perfects around Sunday, late Monday, Tuesday, and then throughout several days. It's going to bring in the area of your life where you maybe are not so powerful. The things that you are afraid of or that you fear. A perfect example of this is when I was looking at the astrology and reading the charts is perhaps someone who lives with a very narcissistic energy or someone who is a narcissistic energy. The power versus darkness is basically where there's a will, there's a way, right? What do we have in our lives that we allow to control us? What are we in relationships where we're playing a role to get along, where we're doing pretense and we're not really authentic? And that's going to really come to the surface. And it's doing that for you to really step into your authenticity and truth. The sun is the central figure in our life. The sun is usually father. It's masculine energy. The sun is usually your major relationship or your boss or your father figure. It's an energy in the world stage, world leaders. And those energies are going to be really challenged in this energy. And so what happens is that energy may become more forceful, more powerful. People who believe might is right are going to really want to enforce that over the next few days. And for those of us who are not that kind of energy, we're going to be challenged to step into our power and say our truth and no longer just get along and not walk on the eggshells. And now this is about, are you ready to be seen for who you really are and stand up to those powerful forces that are preventing you, that are the obstacles that you have in your life that are preventing you from really being your true self and stepping into your light. And so that's why I say the power versus darkness. Because, darkness doesn't have to be evil and the devil. Darkness can be just the lack of illumination in your life. Where are the relationships that are holding you down? Where are the things that are holding you back? And so in the next few days, as the sun squares Pluto and Jupiter, which is the planet of expansion, and usually benevolence, but in this case will expand anything in its wake, is going to make this even stronger. So you're going to see, especially since the sun is in Aries, it's exalted in Aries. For those of you who have a sun right by this, a birthday recently, or your Aries placed very, very heavily in your chart, you're going to feel a little egoic. You're going to feel like, hey, look at me. That's very much an Aries lower trait. And this is the energy that's now out in the world as the sun shines in Aries. So that's really going to be the energy. And so our challenge in this energy is not to go into the fear of Pluto, not to go into, the fear of this virus, the fear of the relationships in our life where we can't be ourselves. What we really need to do in this energy, and the best use of the energy, is step into your power. Use the powerful light of the sun, exalted in Aries, that we all have within us, in order to step up to and be seen by the energies that are trying to keep you in darkness or not allowing you to shine to your full potential. And that's really the best use of this energy. There's going to be a lot of challenges. There's going to be a lot of arrogance. There's going to be a lot of people who are narcissistic, amplifying that narcissistic energy because it's fear. When people are fearful and they feel threatened, whether it's real or perceived, they act out. And that's also the best use of this energy, is to use that lesson of where do we act in our lives? Where, when we feel threatened, do we start to get maybe a little cranky or a little loud or a little impatient? You know, is that post we're putting on Facebook because we think we're really wise, or are we just in a really crappy mood and we want to throw something out there? So that's this energy. It's going to show us where our deficits are. It's going to show us where we lose our power. And I truly believe that's also a global lesson right now as we step into this pandemic. And although it's tragic and it will change, and perhaps there'll be a lot of new world order after this pandemic is released and in our own lives and on the world stage, but I really think this is for our growth. This is for our learning. Pluto is a planet of destruction and a planet of transfiguration. Why? Because it wants to bring to ashes the things that we can do better, the things that are not up to full potential. And you look at the way the earth has been healing through this pandemic, you know, the less smog and the rivers that are cleaner and the forests that are rejuvenating. That's Pluto. They were burnt down through, you know, destruction of man. They were in detriment, and Pluto comes in and brings them down to ashes, brings them to their worst pollution in order for us to be shown we can do better. We can have these systems better. We can do our own life better. There are things that we're not doing that to live up to our full potential. So when this energy comes in of the Sun squaring Pluto with Jupiter in the mix, amplifying it all, remember, power is going to come in play. You're going to see that especially on the world stage. You're going to see some arrogance come in. You're going to see that might is right kind of thing. But it's being shown to us so that we have the energy and the power to use our own assertion, to step into our own light and shine for what we are supposed to be. If you're sequestered with someone that's not validating your emotions, not allowing you to have your emotions, that's going to lead to more repression and anxiety. It's up to you to stand up for who you are and be seen. It's up to you to give yourself the compassion to know that you're allowed to have your own emotions, that it's natural to have some fear now, it's natural to have some anxiety. Flow through that, overcome it, and triumph in your own light to be who you're really meant to be. Are you ready to be seen? By yourself, by the world, by spirit, and maybe by those people who judge you. Because you've got to get yourself strong enough in your own light and use that beautiful rebirth, regrowth, transfiguration of Pluto to come into your light, to truly want to be seen, know who you are, know your authenticity and your truth, and use the power of that to really shine in the world and go forth and be who you're really meant to be. So we've got some really powerful transits coming in, and you're going to see some people acting out in them because that fear is going to come to the surface. So do your yoga, do your meditations, especially anything to do with the thymus. You know, tapping is really good right now. Make those, your immune system's really strengthened in this energy. We all need it, not just to combat COVID-19, but to also combat the forces in our life that prevent us from shining our light out into the world. So get those immune systems going, get your own power going, get your light shining, and don't let anyone dim your light in this energy, okay? So that's my my little impromptu video for today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you missed the beginning, you can go back. I'm going to bank this on the Facebook so that you can always replay it. The beginning is about how some of us have really been feeling this heavy energy in our heart and higher heart, and that is not the virus. It's just we're picking up on world vibration and world energy, and we can really use that to meet our fears head on. See nation isn't our fear, and let it lead us to our own light. Hi Linda, hi Allie, hi, I saw so many people on, now the feed went through, but thank you all for tuning in. Please share this video if you think it's helpful to people. I love you all. If you have any questions about astrology or the energy or anything, just comment below. I always answer. And if anyone wants a private reading, I am doing those through FaceTime. You can go on zenkuda.com under services. Thanks so much. I love you all. Have a great weekend. Stay in love, not fear. Work your immune systems. Get out there in the sun. Love you. Bye-bye.